too square for one's taste. Can you see yourselves ever enjoying a drink from a square cup? Then you are most tolerant. But even one could never find fault with Marchosius's cooking. As we ate, Guizhong would continue to find topics for conversation, filling the table with humor and laughter. Each of those old fossils had we would drink together from a Streetwood Rambler would...
Streetwood Rambler?
That would be Ping. You probably...
Oh, okay. Wait, are you saying that it was great?
Alas, long has one avoided this place for precisely that reason. One should have guessed that you would disrupt one's poignant moment of mourning with your No matter, one will share the whole story with you. In times gone by, one quarreled oft with Guizhong concerning mechanical principles. We each had our ideals, and neither would yield. Under the pretext of a social gathering, one invited the impartial Rex Lapis to judge the quality of our creations. But Rex Lapis declared that Guizhong's Obscuro Vulpus mechanism was superior.
Oh, she was so pretty.
One was too proud to acknowledge it. In one's heart, one knew that Guizhong was indeed the superior talent in the mechanical
Retainer
arts.
is pretty.
As for the story between Guizhong and Streetwood Rambler, that begins with a certain bell. In Guizhong's opinion, while mechanisms were no substitute for human composers, they were yet capable of producing simple but fine melodies. But Streetwood Rambler believed music to be an expression of the soul. An emotional enterprise that could never hope to be replicated by machinery. They argued endlessly, until one asked Rex Lapis to intercede. He confiscated the bell and designated it for ceremonial use. Thereafter, one would often find them convening in the mountains, discussing music, mechanics, and all the affairs of the mortal world. But these good times were not to last. War broke out between the gods, and soon engulfed the Guili Plains. Guizhong was overpowered by the enemy, and fell in battle. When Streetwood Rambler and I arrived at the scene at long last, all that remained among the ruins was her lifeless body. After this, at Streetwood Rambler's request, Rex Lapis granted her the cleansing bell for safekeeping. To honor our friend's memory, one made a few finishing touches to her ballistic device. Many lantern rites have passed since then. Many greetings and goodbyes. Upon what do you gaze? The Guili Plains?
No. It's everything. We think of human life as like a lantern that's lit one minute and extinguished the next. But are we Adepti so different? Perhaps as dust settles after a storm, we too must one day return to the world below.
One has always been austere and private by nature, and has never relished socializing. One's dealings with Guizhong were born out of discussions on the discipline of mechanics.
What? You have loads of friends, and you seem pretty chatty.
Just because one is not ignorant of social graces does not mean one is fond of them. One is perfectly capable of partaking in conversation despite being introverted. But in the end, one is nothing like Streetwood Rambler. She is dauntless but thoughtful, not to mention eloquent and wise. Moreover, her friendship with Guizhong was far greater than one's own. Back when they were rivals, they would often compete against one another in the realm of musical composition. That cleansing bell was one of Guizhong's proudest works, having the ability to
Wait! That's weird. Didn't Madame Ping say she pestered an old friend for that bell. And she also said something about being a vain beauty when she was young.
Streetward Rambler, a vain beauty. That bell has a sad history. Clearly, she refrained. As for her old friend, as soon as Streetward Rambler heard that a certain Zhang Li wished to borrow the bell, she realized that the man was none other than Rex Lapis. After all, we all have known each other for several millennia.
Whoa! So they were talking in secret code?
Enough of your intrusions. Where was one up to? The cleansing bell is powered by a mechanical art, and can be used to great effect as an accompanying instrument. After the passing